to Mohenjo-Daro, we have mined 700 million metric tons of copper. So if we put that in a big cube, you see the Eiffel Tower for scale. It's about 430 meters by 430 meters.
Stop scrolling. Look at this massive cube compared to the Eiffel Tower. That is every ounce of copper humanity has ever mined. And we're about to run out just to keep your phone and AI running. The math is terrifying.
80% of all the copper we've ever mined is still in human possession. Now, if you want to get that back, no problem. We can recycle that. All we have to do is tear down every building in the United States, every building in Europe, every building in Japan, and all of China, and we can get back about 80% of that 700 million tons, but we'll be living and freezing in the dark. The lights are on here because the copper that's embedded in this building. We can tear down this university and get the copper back. Yeah, we can recycle it. How much are we using? We're consuming 30 million tons of copper a year, only 4 million tons of which is recycled. That means to maintain 3% GDP growth, now listen carefully, with no electrification, this is with burning oil and gas. To maintain global 3% GDP growth, we have to mine the same amount of copper in the next 18 years as we mined in the last.
Wait, did you catch the part about the recycling limits? We always hear that we can just reuse materials, but the reality is way more grim. If we wanted to get back just 80% of our copper, we'd literally have to tear down every single building in the United States, Europe, and China. Think about that for a second. We are living in a world built on a red metal that we can't easily replace. The expert here is basically saying we've mined 700 million tons over the last 10,000 years. But to keep up with current 3% growth and this massive shift to electricity, we have to mine that same amount again in just the next 18 years. It's a total bottleneck. You can see why the big players are calling this a sleepwalk into a crisis. If you aren't watching the supply charts for these industrial metals, you're missing the real story behind the tech boom. It isn't just about software. It's about the physical wires that make it possible.
Located here, the Red Sea and the Suez Canal has been open, basically unimpeded since the war started. 25% of global oil moves through the Strait of Hormuz, as we all know. 20 million barrels a day, which is effectively closed right now. 12%, though, moves through the Red Sea via the Bay el-Mandeb Strait and the Suez Canal. Thus far, this waterway's been open. It's been uninterrupted. And to bridge the gap from the Strait of Hormuz, Saudi Arabia's been bypassing it, moving 7 million barrels a day through their east-west pipeline. Something they never normally do. This pipeline is a backup, an emergency valve for the Saudis. Normally, it pumps around 700,000 barrels a day. Last week, the Saudis reached 7 million barrels a day through this east-west pipeline, which comes out over here in the Red Sea. Since the start of the war, Saudi Arabia, they've ramped up its oil flow through this pipeline, again, reaching 7 million barrels a day last week. Tankers load that oil over here. Then they depart and they either go west through the Suez Canal or they go east through the Bay el-Mandeb Strait. The Houthis joining this war right now means this route may soon be closed. All it takes is a statement. All it takes is for them to say the strait's closed and that they'll bomb all tankers for it to just grind to a halt. And if that...
Look at the map here because this explains why your gas prices are about to go haywire. Everyone focuses on the Strait of Hormuz, but the real action is in that tiny, narrow strip of the Red Sea. You see that east-west pipeline? Saudi Arabia has been using it as a massive emergency valve to bypass the chaos. They usually only pump about 700,000 barrels a day through there, but they just cranked it up to 7 million. That is a 10-fold increase just to keep the global economy from flatlining. But here's the kicker. With the Houthis officially entering the war, even that safe route through the Suez Canal is now in the crosshairs. If they even make a credible threat to bomb tankers in that strait, the entire logistics chain for 12% of the world's oil just grinds to a halt. It's like a chess match where one side just realized their safe square is actually under attack. Pay attention to those shipping lanes. They are the literal veins of the world.
We have objectives. I told you what those objectives are, and we are very confident that we are on the verge of achieving them very, very soon.
We're just floating over the top looking for whatever we want, and we're hitting it, and we have another 3,554 targets left, and that'll be done pretty quickly.
Did you see the tone shift in the military briefing? They aren't just talking about deterrence anymore. They are moving 3,500 Marines in on the USS Tripoli and signaling ground operations. What's wild is the targetless strategy. They've already hit 11,000 targets, and they're basically saying the remaining 3,000 are just sitting ducks for A-10 Warthogs and Apaches. It's a transition from high-level strategic bombing to what they call precise hunting. This isn't just a skirmish, it's a systematic dismantling of infrastructure. And notice the timing. While the diplomacy is happening on the surface, the Pentagon is preparing for weeks of boots-on-the-ground action. The tension between the public ceasefire talk and the actual troop movements in the Middle East is at an all-time high. If you're looking for a sign of escalation, this buildup is the loudest one we've seen in 30 days. Keep an eye on those Marine deployment numbers because they tell the real story. Check out these market numbers. We just saw $4.8 trillion in market cap vanish. That isn't just a dip, it's a massive wealth evaporation. The crazy part is the phrase, "the market is now just numb." Investors have been hit with so much fake news and volatility regarding energy prices that they've stopped reacting to the headlines. It's a dangerous phase because when the real prices finally break through that numbness, the correction is usually violent. We are officially in correction territory for the S&P, hitting around that 6,300 mark. While everyone is distracted by the headlines, the bond yields are creeping up toward a breaking point. If the 10-year Treasury hits that 4.5% mark and stays there, the mayhem the experts are predicting for Monday morning isn't just hyperbole, it's a mathematical certainty. You have to wonder how long the administration can keep managing the panic before the sheer weight of the war costs breaks the dam. Finally, look at the physical solution to the crisis we talked about earlier. This is the Majuba Hill project in Nevada. While everyone is arguing about policy, these sites are where the actual rebirth of American mining is happening. This isn't just a new hole in the ground. It's a past-producing mine that already has the roads, power supply, and water infrastructure ready to go. The reason this matters is mineral independence. The administration is pushing for a 50% tariff on imports to force copper production back to U.S. soil. When you hear billionaires like Stanley Druckenmiller or Robert Friedland getting bullish on these specific jurisdictions, it's because they know we can't build a single EV or a single AI data center without this specific dirt. It's the ultimate picks and shovels play for the modern era. The tech world is finally realizing that you can't have a digital revolution without a very physical, very heavy industrial backbone. The world is changing fast. Hit follow to stay ahead of the next shift. See you in the next one.